It's day 42.
It's 8:30 in the morning. We're getting ready to leave Boots Off Hostel. We're planning on about a 16-mile hike today to a place called Iron Mountain. We have about a 2,000-foot climb over the first 9 miles or so, and then it should be ridge running the rest of the way. So we're starting early enough in the day that we'll be able to get in 10 hours of hiking or so we ought to be able to make it. Yeah. It is raining again, so we'll have to contend with that. We're all rigged up for rain, and we'll see how that goes. So we're off at 8:35.
This is Lake Watauga, and of course it's not a pretty day to see it. We're getting the tail end of some tropical storms through here. You can see why high water on Lake Watauga floods the trail pretty quickly. They're pretty close together down here. It would be nice if it were a pretty day.
Yeah, I think we're going to be aqua blazing in the rain
Aqua
for
blazing.
about the next 2 hours.
Yep. Don't you hate when that happens? That's fairly recent.
Just had to bushwhack our way around some pretty recent deadfall. We climbed over it down there.
And there's poison ivy. We've reached the end of Lake Watauga after about 2 miles of hiking along the edge, which was nice. It was different. We don't usually get to walk along lakes. So here's the dam, and there's the next blaze up there. Just follow the blazes.
Boxes are cooking.
The business side of the dam. Pretty cool, isn't it? And there's where we just walked across in the wind. Man, it's just brutal between the wind and the water. It's pretty chilly. And there are the non-smoky mountains. They're pretty smoky today. So we're 2 hours in for the day, and we're making progress. The rain has not let up. It's 49 degrees, and when it's exposed, it's windy, so I don't know what the wind chill is. It's pretty cold.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a nice stop at the shelter, which is probably about 5 miles away. And so every step closer to Katahdin, right? I think I have my trail legs. Just came up an uphill. They're not bothering me. Of course, it's a little bit gentler than some of the ones we've had lately. Slider took a fall this morning at the hostel, so he's not feeling too good. Thinks he pulled a muscle. He's walking it off. You gotta respect that. How you doing?
Hanging in there. think I'm going to put my short sleeve shirt on and my long, and then put that on over it.
Taking a well-deserved lunch break. Get some food on board. I've wrung out my socks. I've wrung out the sleeves. I've got put on my Arc'teryx, which feels so good. But I'm going to put it back in the pack and keep it dry and let the exertion keep me warm for the rest of the afternoon. This shelter is about 8.5, 9 miles in for the day. We have another 5, 6 to go. And there's another shelter. And, you know, we said we weren't going to stay in shelters, but if it's still raining like this, I think we're just going to try to grab some shelter space and stay dry tonight. We'll see. And the time is, it's 13:15, so 1:15. It's 45 degrees, and there's a breeze, and it's raining. So we're definitely in hypothermia territory. But that's what, having a good meal, getting warmed up for a few minutes, and then heading back out. That's how we'll combat it. That's how we will combat hypothermia. See, that's actually a sign of hypothermia. Stumbles, mumbles, and fumbles. How you doing?
I'm cold and wet, but I'm hanging in there. My body's dry and warm, and that's what's important. So we got about 6 miles to go to the shelter, and we're probably going to shelter camp tonight just based on the temperature and how wet everything is, because that's a safe choice.
But we never know until we get there, because if the shelter's full, we're SOL.
Right.
All right, so we got to Iron Mountain shelter. We were shivering and cold and miserable, and we were in bad shape. And we put out our air mattresses and fluffed up our sleeping bags and changed clothes as best we could with 3 other people there in the shelter. And we hunkered down for about an hour, and we just kept getting colder. Well, it turns out there's a hostel, and all we have to do is walk 4.6 miles. So, yeah. So we're about 1 mile from the road. Actually, we should be closer than that by now. The sun just came out. Oh, I hope it keeps Beast warm in the shelter tonight. We might see Beast tomorrow. I don't know about you, but I am looking forward to warm, dry bed.
Me too.
Been a tough day. We pushed and we pressed. All right. So, you remember the other day I said that we didn't talk about where the day's going to take us because we really didn't know where the day's going to take us. Today is a pretty good example of that.
Yeah, so we are at the Rabbit Hole Hostel, which required us to walk 20.7 miles.
Yeah, but that's not really where the story started. The story started at the place where we were supposed to spend the night. We were going to spend the night at Iron Mountain Shelter. And it has been raining all day long. And at the lowest point, the temperature was 42 degrees. And the wind was gusting between 25 and 35 miles an hour. So somebody please go online and find the chart and look it up for us and tell us what the wind chill was. Because we got to the shelter, we inflated the air mattresses, we rolled out the sleeping bags, we spread our stuff all over the place. And we hunkered down. We hunkered down for about an hour, you know, put on our warm, dry clothes. Everything was wet. We slipped into our sleeping bags. We had our coats on. We had every layer on that we brought. And after about an hour, we realized that we were not getting warm. And that the night was going to be colder and windier and more miserable. And if we couldn't get warm at 4:30 in the afternoon,
Wasn't going to happen at
What's
night.
going to happen? So, yeah, it's one of those moments where you're like, it's 4.6 miles to comfort and warmth.
And a bed. And a
So-
warm cabin.
So
And
even though
nice hosts.
So even though it meant that our day ended up being a 20.7 mile day, worth it. We just had
Yeah.
milkshakes. They were fabulous.
Yeah.
Our host brought them to our cabin.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
We're nice and warm and dry.
Yeah. And
All
so
our equipment is strewn all
it's
over
bad.
the
It's
cabin. And it's drying out as it should. And we'll see what happens in the morning.
we're safe.
And comfy.
Very.
Because comfy is good. Thanks for joining us on this journey. We appreciate all your support.